Hi everyone, and welcome back. Weird times, isn't it? Weird times. It's happening. It's happening to everyone, isn't it? Nothing we can do about it apart from stay home, stay safe, and keep away from as many people as we can until it all blows over. But at the moment, it's a Saturday. It's lockdown, I would say. No one's really allowed to go out unless it's essential, and the workshop, not a lot's going on behind me. Look. Got a little bit of work I could crack on with if I was motivated, but I'm not really. So all I've been really doing is some chores in the house, making a few other videos, all that sort of stuff, keeping busy, jumping in the hot tub. I'm out in the garden now, and basically I had to go and see my mum not long ago, yesterday. She's in London, I'm in Hertfordshire, and I thought, okay, perfect opportunity to go on the bike, go down there rather than the car, give it a little burst. It was essential. I had to give my mum some medication. She's got an illness, so used all precautions, obviously. Didn't go in the house, stayed my distance apart, all that sort of stuff, and I was only there for 10 minutes. But anyway, that leads me on to this bike shed here. As I was just about to put the bike away, here she is. It's a Honda CBR 600RR. That leads me on to showing you this bad boy over here, and I'm about to put it away. I've also got the Fireblade, Honda Fireblade 1000RR, and that is sort of like meant to look like Marc Marquez's bike. That's Valentino Rossi looking bike, Marc Marquez bike. That is the idea anyway. Didn't really plan it. That popped up quite cheap about 4 years ago. Got that as a bargain, 2,500 quid, 4,000 miles on the clock. And this one I got for about 5 grand 3 years ago, I think. I enjoy this one a lot more. This one is just mad. It's like a time machine. This one just revs up to like 16,000 RPM. Absolutely mad still, but doesn't have the grunt or the top speed. But anyway, enough of that. So I wanted to show you my little shed I built for it. I know you've probably seen one of my videos how to build a movable bike rack. Back in the day, I did have my bike stored against this back wall, but then I bought this go-kart, which is a 125 Tony Rotex Max 2-stroke. Is it 2-stroke? Can't remember. I think it's 2-stroke. Anyway, it's a go-kart behind there. A Tony version 125 Rotex Max. That is an absolute beast as well, and that had to go on the wall. I did plan to have it to go in my shed, like maybe have it housed on the ceiling in a rack, but it took up too much space. The rack was going to come down to sort of like 2 foot below the ceiling, and it would have been a nightmare to get the bikes in and out. So anyway, I took these wheelable racks apart. You probably, like I said, you've seen a video on those. I took them apart. Unfortunately, they didn't really work for me. In the end, I still used the wood for other jobs, and I started building this for the apprentice, Sean. And it was quite a tricky one because, as you can see, the roof has got an angle on it, and I had to ultimately fit the bikes in this footprint here, which is about 2.5 meters length by about 2.5 that end and about 1.2 this end. Also I had my shed door at the back, which I store bits and bobs in I need to get to, and I needed to keep it below the roof line. So I did manage to do it. I've got a massive door here. You can probably see it's a big 1.5 meter door, and that just closes like that. There we go. As you can see, it's fully closed now, and it just blends in. I mitered the door in the corner, both the door and the panel, so when they're closed it just looks like the wall. I did have this gap at the bottom which I had to sort of solve because the floor leans when it swings up and opens up as close to this go-kart as possible, still allow my bikes out. The actual floor slopes up, so I had to allow for that and leave a gap, which I have yet to solve that problem. So like I said, the corner meets up there. It's got a little gap at the bottom which I need to solve, and I also still need to access this side to get into the shed inside. Let me open it. There we go. So what I thought is, okay, well I still need to get in there. I need a door that I can access day in, day out. And if you have a look here, can you spot a door here? Well, you can probably see the hinges anyway. You can see one hinge there, 2, 3. I've used big chunky stainless steel outdoor hinges, and all I do is just put my finger in this out. There we go. And that just opens up. I mean, the inside doesn't look pretty. I was going to clad that with some birch or some more OSB to cover the actual framework up, but to be honest, I'm not fussed. It looks nice from the outside. And I have clad it with scaffold boards on the outside. That gives the walls strength. So I used 2x2 timber internally. And you would have thought, okay, well that's not a lot for the door. Well, yeah, you're right, it's not a lot for the door. But as soon as I clad it in OSB, it turned it into a really rigid structure. I mean, it does flex a little bit. I mean, there's not a lot of strength in the actual, if you twist it and stuff, but and it's either open and wedged open, or it's closed and up against the corner of the wall, keeping its strength. Put 2 windows in. One on the door, one here because I wanted to look through. These lights in the ceiling stay on overnight. They're only LEDs, so I keep them on. So at night time, there's a light there above my go-kart too. So at night time, this all glows up, and there you go. There's an overall view of it all. If I try and wedge this door open, there we go. In its full beauty. If I move that timber out the way, open this up, that is the bones of it really. So it's basically just one spine wall here which the door hung off, and a little corner, but ultimately there is still framework running all the way through to connect the two together. And so this door has a lot of strength to be hung off. I put a bit of timber against the wall and screwed that to the wall, and I've also wedged it, so there's a piece of timber which wedges that upright against the wall, so there is no movement at all, because there is a lot of leverage on this large door. If it's open, it could possibly pull those screws out. So it's nice space in here, really is a nice space, and it keeps the bikes out of the elements. I've had to do up this door. This was an old crusty door, so I clad it with some nice strips. I got all the garden rendered, you can probably see, because they're all crusty walls. And I've left it the render colour because I like that colour. It goes with these used scaffold boards. You know, you probably know my style by now. It's rustic looking boards, old timber that's weathered, with new, crisp, expensive materials, so like granite and glass, and that is my style. I've got this panelling left to do, but I'll need to finish those off. Scaffold tubes for the stairs there, see. So all I do is hold the handlebars. I stand on the front of the bike and use the handlebars, hold the brakes, keep the stand down, and all I'll do is just wheel that backwards. So I'm going to wheel this bike in now, standing at the front of the bike. There we go. Wheel it in. Have to stand down, turn the handlebars. Oh. That was the stand. There we go. And it's in. Lovely and concealed. Can't see any keyholes. Can't see where the door opens or closes on this corner. And yeah, I think it looks really nice. I've maximised the amount of space I could inside. It's as far out as it can be to the edge of the roof, and if I made it come forward any more than it is, then the opening of the door gets smaller. So the further I come forward, because of the tapering roof, the smaller the door gets. So I had to sort of weigh up the odds, what was the best way and how long I actually needed it. So I've made it just about long enough for the bikes. It's about 1.5 feet longer than the actual bikes, maybe a little bit longer. And what that does is gives me a wider door opening. I really love these scaffold boards, reclaimed scaffold boards. I've got a supplier that sells them to me for about £3.50 each for a 3.9 metre length. And you can see they're used and abused, but that is part and parcel of them. I think they look lovely, especially up against the render, the unpainted render. I didn't want to paint it, and the granite slabs. The first idea I actually had was to buy a clear see-through motorbike cover. All the ones that you can buy for superbikes or sports bikes, they're all covered, they're all black canvas or some kind of canvas, you can't see through them, which I thought defeats the object of having your bike stored, you know, in here in this garden. I wanted to come out and be able to see them. You can probably just see my reflection through here, but at night time you can see them lovely. That soon went out the window because I couldn't find any covers. I did see one brand that sold them, but they were out of stock and it didn't look like I was going to be able to get hold of them. So I went down this route when we weren't too busy. Last summer, I think it was, when the sun was out, we just went ahead and just cracked on with making this. I think it was about 4 days or so to make it on and off, but it was fun. It was a challenge to make it work in this space with the tapering roof. And before I did this, the summer before, I actually extended this part of the roof where you can see the cable, and that made it all possible really to store this go-kart. So it's all worked out. So it's not perfect. It is a little bit of a tight squeeze, but you get them both in. Still get to the door on this side. I can still stand in here and play around with the bikes. Get in here lovely. Get to the backs. I can get into the middle, start them up and play around with them. And it does stay warm. It keeps the frost out, keeps the moisture out, especially as I put some plastic in between the two layers. So once I built the frame and the OSB, I put the plastic over that before I clad it in scaffold boards. So it really does work for me. It's a brilliant idea. I love it. It's just a shame I couldn't fit the go-kart in. I had to put that on 2 hooks at the top. I took the ceiling off, put these 2 substantial steel bars in, and then hung my go-kart off of that. And that has been rusting away. I still need to figure out a way of housing that. I mean, I would love to get it in here, but it's not going to happen. I may have to use some more of the garden somewhere for that. Ultimately, I want to keep it nice, don't want it rusting away. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. This is a brilliant shed, works for me. Let me know what you've got and if what you've built. Be interesting to know and compare. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you soon, guys. Stay safe, okay? Speak to you soon. Bye bye bye. And I thought I'd show you what it looks like at night time. I could plug a few more bulbs in. I have actually got 3 bulbs there, but only 1 in because it's a bit too bright out here otherwise. Just for security. I have got security cameras out here, but I don't want to annoy the neighbours. So there we go. That's the side window. There's the go-kart. And there we go. And the bikes. Living happily in there. Nice and warm. Keeping away from all the dirt. These are my babies, so I need to look after them. Yeah, I'm gonna get in because it's cold.